I want to make a lot of money. I was seeing over $1 million in cash. So I had businesses, and after I paid everybody, I was still making about $200,000 a week. Profit. They put the handcuffs on me, they pat me down, put me on the chair. And I was like, I'm going to jail for the rest of my life. When I was in college, I went to a party and met some Mongols. And I'm the person.
The biker club.
It's a biker club. And the patches, and it's just what they have. It was intriguing to me. And I had to have it. And I needed it. And I walked up to the guy. I said, hi, I introduced myself. And he says, okay. And we started talking. I said, how do I get in? Because I'm into Harleys. I was into all that stuff, crotch rockets and so forth. And he says, we don't ride crotch rockets. We just ride strictly Harleys. I said, okay, that's cool. I can get a Harley. And he says, I said, how can I get in? He said, you have to prospect. So me not knowing anything about prospecting, anything like that, and I had, what is prospecting? Basically, he said, you're basically being a bitch. You're doing everything, washing bikes, whatever they tell you to do, you have to do. And see, when I was growing up, they used to make, when we had a raffle sale, it made me being as tall as I am, I had to wear a thong. They didn't have find no high heel shoes because I wear a size 15 shoe. But I had to wear a thong and knitted stockings and be on the corner selling raffle tickets. I was like, oh my God.
Pass.
And that's how to see if you was a brother.
Right.
See, but there's other things I can tell you about too. So after about 2 months, I told him I was a good fighter. Wrong thing to do. Oh, they said, because in the biker club, biker world, you earn your name. They give you the name. If you mess up, do something stupid or whatever it may be, that's how you get your name.
Right. And
my thing is, I said, I like to fight. And I said, I'm a very good fighter. He said, yeah. One afternoon, they said, come on, prospect. So we go to this bar. I didn't know it was a bar that we were not friends with.
Right.
So I go into this bar, and the guy says, one of the higher-ups, brother says, you go in there and hit the biggest guy and just start handling your business. I said, okay. So I'll go in the bar, walk up to the biggest guy, hit the biggest guy, and I didn't say no words, I just hit him. I knocked him out. Next thing I know, I have people with pool sticks, cue balls, beer bottles. They were beating the brakes off of me. For about I said it was 5 minutes or longer, but they said, no, it was about 4 or 5 seconds. They beat the brakes off of me, and they came in. And they whatever they did, because I was already bloody and I was semi-unconscious, but they come in and got me, carried me out, and he looked at me and says, man, you got the biggest kahunas I know of. We didn't really think you was gonna go in there and do. I said, but you told me I had to do that. And that's what I did. He said, brother, that's a kamikaze mission there. It's not because you wasn't on live, but I did that. And then they said, we got the perfect name for you. We don't call you Reaper. And once they said Reaper, I already know what a Reaper was, a Green Reaper was. I said, oh, hell yeah, that's it. Yeah, so I became Reaper. And funny parts, so now I get in the club, so I only prospected for 2 months. I didn't prospect for the whole 6 months or a year.
Right.
I prospected for 2 months. And the people I met, like the president, the VP, I became friends with. I would fly to California just to hang out and go to church and stuff like that, meet other brothers, you know. And once I started meeting everybody, mingling, partying, having fun, drinking, um, doing powder and all the fun things, the women, because that's what's exciting me. The women, the drugs, everything. That's all exciting to me. So I did that for a couple months, about 4 or 5 months. And so I'm on the Baltimore on the East Coast. So it wasn't too many East Coast clubs. When I was, only club it was New York. It was New York, Virginia, and Florida. Them three. And I was going back around, taking rides, riding my Harley all over the place from there. So I met with one of the presidents at the time, and sat there and talked to him, and they said, I heard you want to make money. I said, I want to make a lot of money. I don't want to. He says, okay. He said, but before we do that, you have to do this. And they sent me on a mission. And the mission was to go collect money from people that owed us money. So, and he said, if you collect this money, if they don't give you the money, you have to break something or cut somebody's finger off. Or you have to show me that you went over there to take care of business.
Right.
So I started doing that, collecting money for the president and so forth. Then my name started getting out there. If he sends this guy a reprap, two things, you better run or pay up. So that's what happened. And then he made me people didn't know this, but I was his enforcer. I was the enforcer, but the club members didn't know I was the enforcer, national enforcer, because we had a national enforcer, but I was the national enforcer as well. I was the one they came to and when they needed business taken care of or needed somebody not alive or hurt or broken or whatever it may be. So that was my job.
What'd the other guy do? What was the other guy?
The other guy, he was an enforcer, but he was more around the president. Me, I was getting sent to...
So he's more like protection as opposed to they're sending you off to collect?
Okay, yeah, he was the enforcer, but he wasn't going around to different, like the East Coast. That's what he was sending me to, like the East Coast to this Texas, and he stayed, I guess, around this California area, that surrounding area. But I was going around taking care of business in different states. I did really well at that, and he comes to me, says, "We need an East Coast boss." I said, "Okay." Says, "We want to give you the East Coast boss," and I became the East Coast boss. I had fun. That was the best time of my life. Now, remember, I said I wanted to make money. So they gave me the opportunity to make money.
Can I ask you a question real quick? When
Yes.
you say East Coast boss, what does that mean? That there's a chapter on the East Coast that has 60 members and they need somebody to be like the president or I don't understand what the boss is and what's...
The East Coast boss, I was in charge of anything on the East Coast, opening chapters, getting members, anything of that nature. Anything I wanted to do for the club, that's what I had to do, like get members, open up chapters and stuff like that.
I want to ask a question, and I know how how bad this question is, and I know how this is going to make me sound, but like, Does they pay you for this? Or like, do you actually get like a salary?
I was gonna ask something similar. Like, what is?
I'm sure it's not W-2.
Like,
There's,
yeah,
there's
what
no
is-
401k.
No.
But
Are people joining?
is there medical? No.
Yeah, are they just joining the biker club just to be a part of something, or are they okay? You join, and then we're gonna start robbing houses, or we're gonna start sticking
Yeah,
up other gangs.
I immediately think of ice. I think somebody because most of the guys I know that have manufactured ice, not one of these guys doesn't have a story that doesn't involve bikers. Like the bikers will come and say, "We've got these." For instance, my buddy Pete's story. The Hell's Angels, through another guy, came to them, and they actually had the precursor materials to make ecstasy, which is what he was making.
Right.
And they said, we have the precursor, the materials, and we can give it to you to help you make ecstasy. And he was like, okay. They said, but we also have, a 50-gallon drum of Sudafed,
Right.
or whatever that was. They said, we need you to make ice. And they were like, well, I've never made ice before, but I could look it up. They
Right.
went and found the formula and came back and made ice for them. But it always seems to, and this was back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Okay. So how did I get money? And my job was to get members,
Okay.
and the members come in and
They pay?
They pay a due. They pay for their cuts and so forth.
The cut, what was
Cuts are like this. They're patches and stuff like that. They usually call cuts.
Okay. And what are the dues? How much? What is a monthly? Is it like a monthly due? You pay $50 or 100 or?
Okay, so it depends on. It was a set rate, but the set rate was like say $50 a month, and then we had a war fund. Then when they say, yeah, you had to donate to the war fund too, that was like $25 a person.
Okay.
So it's $50 a person plus $25 per person for a war fund. But as me doing this and getting members, I'm getting to know them.
Right.
And I'm feeling them out. So I'll go back and says, okay, I'm ready to make some money, real money. So they come, say, give me a week. A week comes, and they come to me and says, here's a key of powder. And back then, I was getting charged $15,000 for powder.
For a key.
For a key. So I started out with that. And from me meeting people on the East Coast in different chapters, dealing with the Bloods, the Crips, all them, I'm dealing with everybody now. I started making money. The first key I sold in 2 days. Like, yeah, I'll go back.
What are you selling that? You bought it for 15 or selling it for like 25 or?
No, I broke it. I sold some in ounces and quarters and halves. And then I had people, I started getting people to work for me.
Right.
That were selling it. Then I was selling weight. So I probably made about $25,000 off at first.
Right.
Off of each key.
Okay.
25 to 30,000, just say that, off of each key.
Because you're breaking it down.
Yeah, I'm breaking it
Once
down.
you start moving weight, it's not as much, but it's volume.
Yes. And
So it's more in volume because now it's 10 or 5 or as opposed to one that it's a lot more risk to break it down. You're dealing with a lot more people.
Right. And you're 100%
Based
right.
on my vast experience.
Yeah. So if you selling weight, you can move it faster, but it's the point of trying to find the people that want to spend that money and that want weight like that and on a consistent basis, because now I'm getting it and I'm moving it real fast. So I'm getting it, and I tell this guy, I promise you I'll bring you this much money on Thursday. So this guy is waiting for his money on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So the way it worked is I started out with one key. Next thing I know, I moved up to 4 keys. I'm knocking that out. Now I'm starting to build, I'm trying to think of the word here.
Like a reputation?
A reputation, but a circle.
A network.
A network. A network. So I'm building a network. Now it's like, okay, I can get this one, this one, this one. I'm asking them what they can move, what they can sell, how much, and da-da. So they come to me and says, if you do this, if you come to me, we can sell ounces of powder for $900 to $1,000. I was like, okay, that's all. Because now, if you look at it, I'm only paying $10.5 for a key. So you're looking at $9,000 to $1,000 for an ounce. You're like, yeah, because if you break it down, you're only paying like $5.50 an ounce yourself,
Right.
or $400 some dollars, in that range from $4.50 to $5.50 or something, 20, in that range. So I'm selling this stuff, but I'm making a killing because now, okay, I know I'm paying $500 an ounce, but I'm giving it to you for $900 an ounce. And if I don't know you like that, I'm giving it to you for $1,000. So people that was down in my network, okay, and they were doing real well, I'll say, okay, I'm making $500 off an ounce. I'm going to give this guy, since he's doing real well and he's moving, I give him $700 an ounce. So he's making money. I'm making money. We all making money now. And my job was I wanted to flood Baltimore and the place, because Baltimore is the capital of powder, dog food, and other substances that were, and it's bad. It's whatever you wanted there, you could get. If you walk on the corner, you say, I need this. So, okay, hold on. You get it. So I started a strip. In Baltimore, we call them strips. So we have alleys, and what we would do, we would set up, wake up. I had shifts. I started shift work. I would have people come, all the people I had on the street was selling, I would have shifts. So I would say, okay, we're going to work from 10 to 3, knock off for an hour or two. Next shift comes on. It's like a job.
Right.
So I'm making lots more money now because I'm selling $10 pieces. And about that big, so I'm selling. So it was a store, but I would have people lined up around the corner waiting for the powder, because guess what? I didn't cut it. I didn't do anything like that. The way I got it is the way I sold it. I started making money fast like that. Next thing I know, in a couple months, I was up to 100 keys of powder a month. And I was like, good God. And I wish I had a picture. My wife has a picture. This table, I had stacks of money on this side. And what I was doing, we would be counting it, had money machines counting it. Anything, if it was $1 bills, I had my boys throw the money out the window and give to everybody. It has to be 5s, 10s, 20s, 50s, and up. If it's a $1 bill, I don't want it. Man, it was so much money. I never thought in my life I was seeing over $1 million in cash. And after I paid everybody, I was still making about $200,000 a week profit.
Right.
And and it just went on and on. I was in the club for about 15 years, and I had a good run. And now
I'm assuming that the police at some point are frowning on this.
Yeah, you want to know? Oh, I have to go back here. So I became a 1%er.
Okay.
So my father is a police officer now.
Right.
So me and him have the same name. I would get locked up, and they would call my dad and says, did you get locked up last night? And Paul said, no, why? He said, somebody named my name.
Right.
was locked up. And he said, "Oh, that must have been my goofball son." And
He must have been really happy about that.
yeah, because my father was a high-ranking police official. So every time I would get locked up, everybody in Baltimore knew who I was.
What are you getting locked up for?
Fighting, peeing in the alley, doing stupid stuff, getting drunk, trying to taking men's women and all that stuff, and that
Right.
kind of stuff.
Okay.
It was just fun. I was getting locked up for all stupid stuff. Me and my
But
brother.
not for the drug ring.
I didn't get locked up for the drug ring at all. I didn't, and the drug ring. So this is how I knew something was going on. I started buying. I was the only, like my wife called me bougie. I was the only bougie biker gangster you could have. I had nice house, nice cars, and everything I wanted that was bougie. I was like, what the hell is bougie? And she told me what bougie. I said, oh, I guess you might have been right. But she said, you look back, you were bougie on one hand, but ruthless on the other hand. I said, I guess that's a good mix because I can fit in with everybody. I'm like a chameleon. I can fit in with anybody. And I did that. I started meeting police, state police, judges, lawyers. They all wanted to party. I didn't realize powder was like everybody did it. It was like a free for all. Yeah, I got it. But they wanted the best. They didn't want stuff that was stepped on or anything like that. But I did that and I was enjoying life. In 2000, I think it was 2 in Laughlin, Nevada. It was a rival gang there, the Hells Angels, and us, and the Hells Angels come into our national. We were having a national meeting and stuff. All the brothers from all different chapters were there, and Hells Angels come in. Now we got about 1,000 to 1,500 members in this motel. I'm just saying, they come in, the Hells Angels came in with 100 members. And it's like you bring in a cat to a dog fight. We got 1,000 members, and you bring in 100 members. We had a brawl, a shootout, and stabbing. It was everything. I got shot.
Is this on video? Is there like a
it was on Gangland.
Yeah.
On Gangland.
Well, why did the Hells Angels do that? Like, what is the purpose to go send 100 guys in on a kamikaze mission? Like, why do that? It's 100 guys against 1,500. That's just
they wanted
stupid.
to make a statement. We were here in Laughlin, and they were at another place having their.
I mean, the statement would have been better served had they shown up with 2,000 men, than 100. 100 just says, "Hey, we're stupid." Like that's just a bad combination. It's not going to not going to work out well for you.
Nope, it isn't. But that's what happened. They didn't send a whole crew. They just sent whatever they came with. That's what they came with. They came in there, and us being who we were always strapped. Anyway,
Right.
We were ready for war. But everybody that night was up in their rooms. Some was still down there playing in the casino. And our thing was my job when we do that, and the other guy's job as being people are to protect the president from getting harmed. And he happened to get stabbed by one. And I got shot. It was so fun. If you think about it, one of the guys were behind a game, a slot machine or something. I think he had a 32 or something like that, and he was shooting like this. He wasn't even looking where he was shooting. He said, "Okay, I'm right here," and he was starting pointing, and he was ducked behind the machine. Now I had a vest on. This is how crazy it is. I have my vest on. It goes like this. He hit me in the shoulder. I was like, I'm hit. I'm on the ground. I'm trying to grab the president at the time because he's already got stabbed. And everybody was there acting crazy. There was so much commotion. And a lot of Mongols died. Hell's Angels died. It was just terrible. And you know, with us being who we are, we had a lot of enemies too, with different people, because some members did some crazy things. Some members, like with the Mexican mob, and I think when we took some crystal from them or something, or they raided the room and they messed up like $10,000 or something crazy, and they demanded us to pay it back, and that's where the war started with that, because the president said we ain't paying back nothing, and that's now we fighting street gangs, biker clubs, we fighting everybody now. That's how I think we got the name, like we are one of the ruthless, deadliest motorcycle clubs in the world, because we started getting MS-13s, any gang members that, and bringing them and teaching them how to ride motorcycles, teaching them the way the biker life is. So now we taking people from clubs that are straight killers, teaching them how to ride motorcycles and sending them on missions. And that's how it worked for us, and it worked out pretty good. And two, I'm trying to think. It was a national raid. I don't know what year, because I'm kind of messed up right now. It was 240 members that got locked up.
Did you know something was going? Did you know there was investigation?
No, I didn't know, but I knew something was funny, because I'm driving down Baltimore Street, and the speed limit is 30 miles an hour. And I was doing like 50, and flew past the police and everything. They didn't pull me over or nothing. They ain't hit the lights, nothing. I slowed down. I said, oh, shiznick, something's going down. My father, so them knowing who my father was, they investigated him to make sure he wasn't involved with my dealings or doings. So he stayed away from me. I was in the club for 15 years. For 15 years, he stayed away from me. He didn't have nothing to do with me. And the funny part is, I said, Pop, I sent him, I write some, go to the FedEx, UPS, I get a box, put money in it, and put a letter, hold this money for me, and send it to him, mail it to him. So I guess my father opened the box. He put a letter in. Don't you ever effing send me this money. I don't want nothing to do with it. Take this money back, and sent it back to me. Like, good gracious, if that would have been anybody else's family, they would have took it, I guess. But my father being who he was and so forth, I give him honor for standing up for what he believed in.
Right.
So my life is just, the basic of the story is, like my mom would tell you, it's one thing about me. If I'm going to do bad, I'm going to do it 100% and be bad. If I'm going to do good, I'm going to do 100% and do good. It was no, I'm try this, and no, I went balls in on each side. Either I do good, or do bad, It's what it is what it is. But I'm giving it 100%. And that's what I did. So us being, the feds got us on all this information, wiretaps and videos. So it was 240 members they got locked up at the same time all over the United States, the country. They raided everybody's house at the same time. So it wasn't like I can call, they hit my house, or I heard a house getting hit and call. No, there was none of that. We didn't have time to call nobody because at the same time they hit each other's houses.
Yeah, simultaneous.
Yes. And I sit there. They locked me up. Now, this is how I got locked up for tax evasion and fraud.
That's what the charge was?
Yes.
Or just your charge? It wasn't everybody
My
else's
charge.
Your
my
charge. Okay.
My charge was tax evasion and fraud.
Right. Which seems funny, but this actually is serious charges. You know what I'm saying?
So after everything I had done, they just locked me up for tax evasion and fraud.
Yeah, but that's what they could prove,
Yeah,
right? You know what I'm saying?
They could prove that.
That like when it's clear cut, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what they get you for. Sometimes if it's not clear cut, like they'll send in, they'll be like, well, we're questioning this. Let's send in a couple agents, see what he says, and then you say, oh, I never do this. I didn't do this. I didn't do this. Now we got him for lying to an FBI agent. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
okay, now we got it.
Right.
So they've got too many tricks to not for you to get away.
So it's either if they don't get you on racketeering, because once they give you a racketeering charge, that means everybody and you don't even have to know nothing. And I talk to you, say, look, they bringing you in for it.
Throw me on the indictment.
Yeah, you like, what the heck going on? So, but like, knock on wood, when all this came down, I was like, I'm going to jail for the rest of my life.
Did they grab you at that time, or did you just hear all these guys? You're saying you got indicted, but you were one of the 240 guys?
Yes.
Well, I mean, how'd that happen? Like they lightly knocked on your door and asked you to step outside?
So, lightly wasn't the word. You know how police say, police. They're not going to do it and say, police, we have a warrant. I didn't hear no police or have a warrant, nothing. I just heard my door fly off the hinges, and then I heard all this police, and they says, anybody in the house, come out with your hands up and all this other crazy stuff. I'm the only one in the house. I said, I'm coming down the stairs. They said, you got any guns or weapons on you? I said, no. So I'll come down. They say, is your name such and such and such? I said, yes, sir. They put the handcuffs on me. They pat me down, put me on the chair. So now you got the IRS, ATF, and the DEA. They all in the house. And they searching. So I had $475,000 cash in a duffel bag under my bed.
Doesn't look suspicious
No,
at all.
No.
Doesn't feel like money laundering or tax evasion at all. They're completely unsubstantiated allegations. and then they sit the duffel bag down. And you go, I'd like to talk to my lawyer.
So, so the funny part is I'll tell it at the end. So I'm saying, I'm going to jail for the rest of my damn life.
Right.
So I didn't know when the feds and all them, they come and get you, you might as well put your hands behind your back because you're going to jail.
Yeah.
They ain't like the state. And when they get you, they got you with open hands, and you ain't nothing but beg for mercy. That's
what I always say is that if the state will come and arrest you and then figure out if they can put together a case, right. And then maybe you get bonded out, maybe you sit there for 6 months or a year, and then when they realize we don't have much of a case here, they try and get you to take a plea, and then they kick you loose, or you say fuck you, I'm going to prison or I'm going to trial. You got a good chance of beating them.
Right.
But when the feds show up, they've already put together the case. You're the last piece of the puzzle, and they don't arrest you if they think we can win at trial.
No.
So they already think we put together a case, we can beat this guy at trial, go arrest him.
Yep.
And so you have very, very little negotiation ability with the feds.
Yeah. So now I'm making all this money. I have $475,000 cash in a duffel bag. I have 12 bank accounts now with $200,000 each in them under dead people's names.
Doesn't look suspicious at all.
No.
That's very common. It's a common thing.
Yeah. So I didn't. So they told me, he says, we went to Bank of America. We showed them this photo and gave them your name. And the woman says, no, this is Mr. Jim Jones. And he was like, the said, no, his name's this, and this. So they had to go back to, and they asked how many times or how many accounts does I have in this. It was so messed up, and because they had to go get all this evidence from trying to find out what my names were, whose names I was using, and all this other crazy stuff. So once that got all done, they come back to me and says, like, I'm just you. Who's Mark Henry? Like, oh, man. I said, there goes that money.
Mm-hmm.
I said, they got my money. They got because when they come in and take everything. They ain't leaving you with nothing. So I sat here after they did all this about the money, and I said, man, I'm going to jail for the rest of my life. I'm thinking about the stuff I already did, like hurting people, extortion, right, all that stuff. I'm saying they don't bury me. They don't dig a ditch under the jail and put me. I ain't never going to see it. When they said we giving you tax evasion and fraud, I would like to jump through the ceiling. I was happy than pig and slop. So, you know, my trial went on, and they stopped.
You went to trial?
Yeah, they had me. I went to I wouldn't call it trial, but you had to go in front of the judge anyway.
Yeah,
for a plea and all that stuff.
Right.
Because I couldn't beat the charge.
Yeah.
So I went to, I call it a trial, I went in front of the judge, and they did, the federal state's attorney said what they said, and my lawyer said what they said.
So you took a plea. What was the plea? What was what did the PSI say?
The plea was I had to sign over all my possessions. So I had businesses, strip clubs, construction company, corner stores. Like in Baltimore, if you go on a corner, either a liquor store or a corner little store market, I had to sign over all that stuff. And I didn't tell nobody or nothing like that. That's not my MO. I took it on the chin. They said all my boats, my cars, all my motorcycles, everything I had. Cars, motorcycles, Hummers, Porsches, Harleys, whatever you could name, I had. Houses, rental houses. I had to sign. They said, you sign over all this stuff. Sign over the money, sign over all the money that you had in the bank under dead people's name. We give you 3 years. I looked at my lawyer. I said, is this for real? Because they really don't talk to you as much as a plea. Usually they're talking to your lawyer,
Yeah.
and your lawyer's your mouthpiece. And then you sign the paper if you want to take it. I said, so if I take this plea, I'm only going to get 3 years. I said, but you have to take the plea. It was a stipulation that I can't be associated with any 1% clubs. I can never join one. I can't associate, like, be a part of them, like, or anything like that. They were... I said, okay, I can do that. I guess if it's 3 years. So they gave me the 3 years, went to jail, and then I was on probation for another 3 years.
Right.
Another 3 years. Like, man, this is 6 years.
So that's supervised release. Right.
Yeah, I'm got 6 years, basically. I couldn't mess up.
Right.
So I did that, and, till this day, I had to send how I am, I sent some of my cuts, my stuff back to the club, and that was it, because most of the people I was in there, they got big time, 14, 20. Them from 20 down, that's how much time people got.
Right.
And man, and a lot of them brothers I became good friends with, and I can't associate with them. I can't call them, and I can't be a part of their lives like they were a part of mine, because it was a brotherhood. That brotherhood was so strong with me because I needed that. I needed to have a brotherhood that when I was like in the Marines. That brotherhood was so strong. I knew if I fell asleep.
If you sleep hot at night, you know how disruptive that can be. Whether you're having trouble falling asleep, you're waking up sweating in the middle of the night, or all of the above, that's where Ghost Bed can help. As the makers of the coolest beds in the world, Ghost Bed is your go-to for cooling mattresses, cooling pillows, and cooling bedding. From their signature Ghost Ice fabric to patented technology that adjusts to your body's temperature, every Ghost Bed mattress is designed with cooling in mind. So whether you want a plusher mattress that cushions your shoulders and hips, or a firm option with exceptional support, your Ghost Bed will keep you cool and comfortable all night long. When you purchase a Ghost Bed mattress, your comfort is guaranteed. You can try out your mattress for 101 nights, risk-free, to make sure it's the right fit for you. Plus, they offer free shipping, and most items are shipped within 24 hours. If you're not sure which Ghost Bed is right for you, check out their mattress quiz. You'll answer a few questions and get a personalized recommendation. Even better, our listeners can get 50% off site-wide for a limited time. Just visit ghostbed.com/Cox and use the code COX at checkout. Again, that's ghostbed.com/Cox with the code COX at the checkout to save a whopping 50% off site-wide.
I knew that brother had my back and he would die for me.
So real quick, where'd you do your time?
They put me in, first I went to Baltimore City, what is it, detention center. Baltimore City Detention Center. Then I went to Baltimore City Jail. Then I went to another place. It's a holding cell until they, what they call it, give you a ranking and stuff like that. I can't think of, what is that? They sit there and they give you a ranking because
Like Oklahoma City, the transfer center, like a transfer center?
Yeah, it's a transfer because you have to go there. They give you a ranking. Okay, if you 5 or higher, you go into super security.
Okay, so it's like the U.S. So the marshals or something. So
Yeah.
what prison were you in?
I went to Baltimore across the street in Super Max because I was a high-ranking official and a high-ranking so-called, what the feds called us, was a gang. So I went there, and because of the people, they were like, we send you here because guess what? We don't know what kind of connections or what could happen, da-da-da.
Yeah.
And this jail, you go in, everything's underground. You go in the Baltimore City Supermax, you have to get on an elevator, and it takes you underground. Everything's like that. It's no above ground. It's like it's like you're buried inside of a building.
Okay.
I spent time there. And I was locked out for 23 out of 24 hours. So I only got an hour out. It's either I could take a shower, go out to the ball pen and get some air, or watch TV.
Or use the phone.
Or use the phone. That's the only thing you had an hour, 1 hour to do any one of them things. And I did that for 3 years. And when I came home, my life started back over.
Did you get a halfway house?
No, they halfway. They let me go right there in Baltimore City. Go ahead, get out. After I did my time, it was no halfway house, nothing like that. They just put me out.
Okay.
And I did that. They put me out. I was trying to get house arrest, but my lawyer said, you don't need none of that stuff. You don't do your time to the door. They're going to let you go. You won't be on probation for another 3 years. I said, okay. I was...
what year was this?
19...
19?
Yeah, 19. I'm trying to think of the year. Excuse me, 2000. That was 2000. Yeah, 2000. I think I got out of jail in 2011.
Okay.
So it's 2007, 7, 8,
Yeah.
9, 10.
So 2011, and then you have 3 years
Probation. So I couldn't leave Baltimore City at all. And I had a probation officer that's coming to my house once a week to make sure I lived there at that house. And I had to have a job. I never had a job in my life. I had to find a job. And that was part of the probation. You have to have a job.
Right.
I never heard of paying no damn going. You had to pay to be out of prison. I had to pay my probation officer like $35 a month.
Is it for restitution? Because in the federal system, you don't pay for probation.
No, like for all the charges.
Oh yeah. You have like $100 per charge per whatever. Okay, so you have to. It's the fees you have to pay.
Yeah, I'm paying fees.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I had to pay fees.
Those are court fees. Yeah. You're paying like court fees. They don't call them that, but they call them something else. Yeah.
And I'm like, good gracious or gracious. And I'm paying them. But the thing is, you have to have a job. If you don't have a job, I was going back to jail.
Yeah.
And they had it strict. And every 2 weeks or so, I had a probation coming to my house, looking around the house. And I didn't realize when they come to the house, they can search your house, do whatever they want.
Mm-hmm. Well, you don't have the same rights as you do as a normal citizen.
No. And I'm like, man. So I did it for 3 years. I stayed clean. Didn't get in trouble. I was so squeaky clean. I was tighter than a fish's butt. That's how clean I was. After 3 years, I moved with my mom.
What was the job you got?
I worked as a roofer.
Okay.
I worked as a roofer mechanic. After that, I was like, when they said I could leave, my thing was up, left my hotel. Now think about this. I had everything at my beck and call. Everything. Didn't want nothing, need nothing. Now I don't have nothing. When they locked me up, they took everything. When they took everything, I'm even talking about my underwears and socks. They took anything they thought I spent illegal funds with. They took it. So if you look at it, everything I had was with illegal funds.
Right.
They took everything. So I moved to my mom. I asked my mom, can I come live with you, Mom? I said, I'm done. I don't have nothing. She said, I've been praying for you to get yourself straight. And I prayed that you didn't go to jail for the rest of your life, or somebody call me and tell me you was dead. She said, yes, bring your high yellow button down here. I moved to North Carolina, and that's where I started my new life. And I enjoyed it. I started working. I went to I wanted to become a counselor, but I worked with the homeless population. I like working with homeless people. I did that. That's where my job. I found a niche. In 2022, somewhere like that, my daughter Santiana passed away. She overdosed on fentanyl.
Mm-hmm.
And it really hit me. Man, I was out there doing this to other people's families, not knowing. It wasn't like I didn't make them overdose.
Yeah.
But
You're
I'm
contributing
to it. And my daughter did that. And she was 22 years old, and she would have been 23 in like a week or two. And I had to pay for the funeral. Now her mother, nobody helped me. Her side, because I don't know if this is right to say, but she was strung out too.
Right.
And now she's telling me now I'm paying for this funeral. And this woman's fighting me and telling me I can't. She said, I want to cremate her. I said, okay, whatever you like. She says, and I said, I'd like to get some of her ass. You know, she fought me tooth and nail. I said, I ain't doing nothing. I told my father said, I don't care. He said this to me, that's your daughter? Now she's been sitting in the hospital, in the morgue, and they can only sit there for a certain amount of time until they get ready to do whatever they want to do with the body. He said, that's your daughter? I don't care what you do. You get down there and make sure that girl gets a burial, and you do it right now. Me being who I am, listening to my parents, respecting my parents, and loving them, I went there. I said, look, I am going to pay for everything. You don't have to pay for nothing. And that woman fought me over some daggone ashes. And guess how many? The ashes, it's a necklace. And it's big as a dog tag. That's how big the locket was.
Right.
And it just ashes. She fought me with that. I looked at her. I said, I'm getting the ashes because if I don't take care of this, you can't. And my daughter, I have another daughter named Sylvana. And she said, Mom, just let him have some ashes. He's paying for everything. And da-da. So I do that. I pay for it. Gets the ashes. This woman's trying to dictate to me what I can do. She was like, I want you to buy me, I need a death certificate from, like, if you want a death certificate. Now, I never had to bury nobody or cremate no. I didn't know everything you do, you had to pay for it. If you need a death certificate, it's like 20 or $30. Like, if you want one, you buy it. I'm buying one for me. I'm buying one for my parents. That's it. If you want, I'll cut her off. I haven't talked to that woman personally, like, for 8 years. I have nothing, don't want nothing to do to her. I used to go get in trouble all the time with her. She used to get me locked up, and I ain't did nothing. Say I beat her up and all this. I was taught never to hit a woman. But this woman was hell on wheels with me. But I became a drug and alcohol counselor. I said, if I did like this, I told myself, if I can't beat them, I'm going to join them. But I'm going to join them in the right way. I'm going to try to help them. Because I already realized I was a gangster for the devil. When the devil needed me, I was there. I was doing anything and everything and not realizing I was condemning myself. Now I'm a gangster for the Lord. I try to help people that want to help themselves. Whatever, I have a zero judgment zone. I judge no one. Your past is your past because I can't collaborate or say anything about your past because if you look at me, I probably had one of the worst passes ever. I have a tattoo. I have a Grim Reaper on my back. It says Reaper from shoulder to shoulder, and it's Grim Reaper, and he has a cloak. And I got skulls and a cloak. So that tells you how much I was really into this and loving what I was doing.
Where are you? Are you currently working as a drug treatment counselor?
Yes. Believe it or not, I'm an ordained minister now. I have my own ministry called Freedom Connection Ministry. We help veterans and civilians with drugs, PTSD, anger management, anything in that realm. I have done it. I've been involved in it. Mm-hmm. So I'm speaking with experience and helping people with experience because I've been involved in it. I've done it. I've been a part of it. So what I'm teaching is what I know and what I've learned and all that stuff. So I'm not BSing nobody. I know what it is. My life changed tremendously. I accepted the Lord in my life. In these programs, they say if you can't go to the person you hurt because it might cause whatever, you should just ask for forgiveness. Go to God, the Lord, and ask for forgiveness. And that's what I did because I couldn't go back to people's families and say, I'm sorry, I did such and such to your.
Right.
So, and I thought being a Catholic was the way out. The Catholic man, because if you do something, you pray, say a couple Hail Marys, give some money, go about your merry way, go do it again, pay. That ain't how it works either. Because you should know better. I should know better. If you keep on doing the same thing over and over again, you're going to get the same result. And I became a Christian, and like I said, in 2011, I became an ordained minister, but I fell. I did forget this. In 2011, I was depressed. So I had $10,000, and I never smoked rock before. I asked my uncle, which he's a connoisseur of that.
Mm-hmm.
He said, yeah, this will take away all this and this. Like, yeah. I had $10,000. God's honest truth, $10,000. So I said, Uncle, we're going to spend all this. We're going to have a party, spend it all. I said to myself, there's two things going to either happen. I'm either going to die or I'm going to a rehab after this. And boy, I spent a whole week from Monday through Sunday. I was smoking up. And now I have other people partying with me.
Right.
It wasn't like I did it all by myself. But I was partying, beating everybody else. The first time you smoke that stuff, it's the highest you can ever get. You can't get no higher than that. After that, it's over. And it's called chasing the dragon's tail.
Right. Because
you smoke it the first time, and that's it. You keep on. And they say that's a poor man's high. I said that's a rich man high because, boy, you can go broke in a couple hours with that. I smoked $10,000. I went to my mom's. I said, Mom, I had to tell you something. I had to go to rehab. She said, why? I said, I spent $10,000 on rock. She said, huh? She said, if you should have at least gave me $5,000 and did the other $5,000 and then come and told me. I said, looked at her. Mom, you done lost your mind. You're crazy. She was making a joke.
Yeah.
I went to rehab and got myself together. That's when I started going back to college. I went back to college in North Carolina, and I got my associate's degree in drug and alcohol counseling. And then my daughter passes away. Now it's like telling my wife now I have, which is a loving, caring, the best woman ever. Because I never loved nobody. I was never in love with anybody. And I hated everybody, even myself. So to hate yourself and don't care about that makes your job much easier.
Right.
You could do anything then. Because you don't care about their feelings, what they feeling, what they beg you. They beg you for mercy. You know, all your history. I look back, I had a great time with brothers, the partying, the drugs, all that stuff. Now I look where I'm at. All that stuff, millions of dollars getting taken away from me. Now I have a nice house, and I've never been in love. I got a woman that loves me more than anything in the world, and she's a Christian lady. She loves me more than anything. And my daughter passed away, like I said, and I told God, I said, God, if I could ever be a father to somebody that needs a real father, I would be it 100%. So when I met my wife, she has a daughter. She was 12. And the thing about it, her father disowned her. So my daughter, which is 14, never had a father a day in her life. I'm the only father figure that girl knows. And that's my partner. We do everything. I teach her everything. I have a lawn business, and she helps me cut grass. I'm showing her how to ride a zero turn and how to walk behind a bush hog and how to cut grass. That's my partner. We do a lot. It's awesome because God always has a plan. You might not see the plan until it starts coming out in the open. And it came out. I realized that He allowed me to go through all these trials and tribulations. He allowed me to go through this storm that lasted for a while. But when it came out the storm, I was blessed. I received knowledge, wisdom, and understanding about everything I've done, I've seen, and I put it to work to help people that need it.
Hey, you guys, I appreciate you watching. Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notified of videos just like this. Also, we're going to leave Gunny's website in the description box. It is Freedom Connection. Please consider joining our Patreon. It's $10 a month. It really does help Colby and I make these videos. Also, please consider joining our Shorts channel and our Clips channel. Once again, thank you very much. See ya.